Hey guys, welcome back. I'm Nolan, your host. So I received a comment the other day, and I received lots of very nice comments from very nice people that are all trying very hard to quit Kratom, and they have questions for me. One of the questions that I received was if I could make a video about just the positives of quitting Kratom. It's kind of scary to quit, and it is possible to get into a pretty dark place when you're quitting if you don't have the right support. So if you need a little bit of motivation to just keep going or to make that decision, that's what this video is for. The whole thing is just like, look at what you could have without Kratom in your life. So let's get started. The first section we're going to be doing here is physical benefits. What's going to happen to your body when you quit? What are the upsides to quitting? What will you be getting back? So that's the first part of this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. A lot of the positives are going to be coming from a bunch of quotes and stuff that I took from my little research that I did for my book, but the rest of it is just going to be coming from my personal experience. Number one, we have digestive benefits. Can everyone say digestive benefits for me, all in unison? No? Okay, that's fine. I expected that. But if you've been using quite heavily, you'll notice that you have some digestive issues. You might be constipated. I don't even want to go into all of the different problems that I experienced because they're a little bit gross. But when you quit, maybe there's a few days of kind of digestive discomfort, but that is one of the few things that you can really look forward to when you're done. I never in my life thought while I was using that I would feel just the pure, unadulterated joy of taking an honest dump again in my life. And when I quit, I looked forward to the regular bowel movements that I would have every day that had been returned to me because I quit Kratom. The problem with Kratom, at least as I understand it, is that if you're taking it all the time, it's pulling all of this moisture out of your intestines and your digestive system, and so there's no moisture for your poop. So at the end of the day, you're left with these like boulders and kind of, fossilized crustaceans for bowel movements. And I know that's disgusting if you're eating lunch or anything like that. Skip forward a little bit just so that there's some more pleasant things that we can be talking about. But when you quit, all of that moisture is going to come right back into your digestive system because the Kratom's not eating it all up anymore and taking it for itself. That is probably one of my favorite things about having quit. I go to the bathroom every day. You didn't need to know that about me, but I do, and I am happy about it. I love my bowel movements. So number two is physical appearance. When I was using Kratom, and so too says the experience of many others who have quit, I noticed that my skin was oily as a shop rag at an automotive garage. It was totally, my eyes were puffy, my face was red, I looked tired, I looked kind of just generally beleaguered. And beleaguered is going to be the longest word that we're going to be using in this video. And after I quit, I almost immediately noticed that my physical appearance was better than it was when I stopped, when I'd been using Kratom. When I used to go out to social settings and whatnot, I used to be super self-conscious. I was like, dude, I look like I've been hiding in a cave for months and I've only been eating Cheerios. Now, if you actually do that, there's nothing wrong with it. But to me, I prefer to live my life a little bit differently. I was self-conscious to go out looking like that, puffy eyes, bags under them, oily skin, kind of just a little bit greasy. Metabolically and physiologically, I don't know exactly why Kratom did that to me and why it's been doing it to other people, but what I noticed after I quit is that the whites kind of returned to my eyes, my skin looked brighter, softer, smoother. I'm not a skincare guru. I don't wash my face, and to be honest, I will let Sephora and all of the skincare companies have someone else's money. I just use a little bit of water. But I think the best skincare product that I ever could have used for my skin was quitting Kratom. and it did wonders. And I will read a few quotes for you here about other people who have noticed exactly the same thing. So this is from an author on Reddit, and they wrote, "I've noticed in just a few days after I've been clean that my skin feels better, I don't look as tired, and I don't have that sweaty look on my face that I seem to have a lot while dosing." So there's another one here. "My overall appearance, eyes, skin, etc. started improving during week 2 of quitting. Now that I'm closing in on 5 months clean, I look and feel so much healthier. I've seen so many other improvements since quitting. I'm no longer sick physically and mentally. I've got my health back. I've got my drive back." If you're watching this and you're in the process of quitting, please use these things as motivation. Just like I use this 100. This right here is a 100 trillion $100 trillion banknote from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe, and it's worth absolutely nothing, and it means a lot to me just because I think it's fun, right? But I want quitting to mean a lot to you, just like this completely worthless Bank of Zimbabwe note means to me. Obviously, that was the worst metaphor or analogy that I ever could have come up with, but I hope that you kind of get what I'm trying to say. Moving on. Another physical benefit you will experience when quitting is you'll no longer have those kind of either that crazy nausea or physical sickness when you take too much kratom or you don't take enough. So I used to wake up kind of in the middle of the night in withdrawals because my body wanted kratom, and it woke me up to let me know that. That meant that I almost never got a full good night's sleep. And you know what a lack of sleep will do to your brain, your mind, and your body. I used to walk into work and just suck, kind of, or at least I felt like I sucked. I am so happy to not have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to worry about taking too much and getting just those hellish, dizzy, nauseous spins, and I don't have to worry about taking too little for fear of going into withdrawals, and I get a full night's sleep almost every single night. After quitting, all of my sleep was returned to me in full after about, a couple weeks to a month. When your sleep returns to you fully is completely a matter of your personal physiology and biology, but that's how long it took for me. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit more about the physical symptoms. Another thing that you can expect is to be more awake or alert. So I noticed that while I was taking kratom, I was sluggish, really just kind of unmotivated to go and do anything. And the withdrawals made that worse. But now that I'm far enough out of the woods, my energy is consistent, it's stable. I don't get kind of sluggish or just lethargic all the time because I've either taken too much kratom or too little kratom. It doesn't influence my life anymore. I don't have to depend on it in order to feel normal or to be my most productive self. I can just sit here without any green powder and be totally and absolutely right as rain. And that makes me so happy and so grateful that I made that decision. And I hope it helps you too. Moving on to the mental benefits of quitting. There are so many, and sometimes you don't know where to look for them. They're not just going to run out of the bushes and say, "Hey, I'm a huge benefit. Look at me. Look at what you get for free right now, instant gratification." Some of them take a little bit of time to find and recognize. For example, I don't have that kind of dreaded weight behind me knowing that when I go out to socialize with a group of people, I'm going to feel shame for having to hide this huge, kind of substance abuse, from them. That was a huge part of my life. I don't have to worry about that. And kratom essentially in your mind becomes a thing that you no longer have to worry about. And that is the biggest benefit of all of this. You don't have to worry about taking it when you wake up. You don't have to worry about having a huge meal before you take it because you might not feel it. You don't have to worry about it impacting your personality and making you sluggish and feeling kind of unalive or zombie-like. You don't have to worry about it, impinging upon your creativity or who you really are as a person. So that was one of the biggest benefits, is as soon as I got rid of Kratom, I also got rid of all of the shame that came with using it. Completely gone. You don't have to hide it from anyone anymore because you're not using it. You don't have to hide it from your friends, your potential girlfriends or wives or husbands, whether or not you have 10 wives or 100 wives or 1,000 husbands. I don't care how many you have, but you won't have to hide it from them because there's nothing to hide anymore and there's no reason to feel any shame for it. So when you're in the throes of withdrawals or you're feeling very sad, you might be watching this video and going through withdrawals right now. Just know that you don't have to feel shame anymore. You are completely free of all of the nonsense that came with taking a spoon or a bunch of capsules and just shoving it all down your throat tons of times a day just so that you could feel okay. And that segues into our next benefit mentally of quitting, is that you don't have to take something just to feel okay anymore. Your body, if you have enough support and you do the right things, will learn to do that for you, and you don't need Kratom for it all the time. So I've struggled with mental health in the past. Hey, here, there, everywhere. Some people, not just me, have as well. It's pretty common in the 21st century, and I thought that I really needed Kratom for that. And I'm sure that Kratom has helped a lot of people who are really, really, really struggling. But the more and more and more and more that you use it as a crutch, the less you're able to rely on yourself as medication or to make yourself feel better. So you turn to Kratom as this kind of savior instead of turning to yourself and your support network and to doctors and all of these things that are put in place for us to feel better. So that was a huge benefit for me, is not having to take anything consistently, knowing that it was actually making me worse. I knew that the longer I took Kratom, the worse it was making me feel. I mean, I started using it and it felt great. I felt like I was in a cushion of beautiful golden clouds and nothing could bring me down. But the more and more and more that I took it, the less that feeling came. And I have a video where there's this really cool clip that I put in there of this little bird, and he sucks up a golden ball and it makes him feel really good. But the more times that he sucks up that golden ball, the less he does it. And you can go back and find that video because it really illustrates addiction. It is so nice now knowing that all of that isn't a problem anymore, that I've made it out of the woods, that you can make it out of the woods, and know that it's not impossible and that there are so many benefits waiting for you on the other side. So in my book, I have a chapter called The Positives of Quitting. And one of my favorite things to write about was how music comes back to you when you finally decide to quit. So I freaking love music, right? I love bluegrass. I love rock and roll. I love some country. I love so many types of music, even classical music. I'll put on a fire in my fireplace and listen to classical alone. I don't care. But when I was on Kratom, just kind of like with podcasts, I would put it on and it would feel like nothing. Like I wouldn't tap my feet. I wouldn't really be engaged with it at all. It just felt like noise. But when I quit, and this is something that I really encourage you to do if you're quitting, put in your headphones and just recognize how amazing it sounds. It feels like every fiber of your being is now involved in the piece of music that's playing in your ears. And it feels like you have a new emotional sensitivity to it that was absolutely not there when you were using Kratom. And it was the most amazing thing to experience. And so many people have experienced this before. All right, here's some quotes from a couple people from my book. This is by a Reddit author. One thing Kratom was starting to take away from me, among other things, is my absolute love for music. Music is affecting me in a way that it hasn't in a while. Almost cried listening today. And here's another author. Music has become music again to me since quitting 4 days ago. Almost immediately, I noticed how much more music affected me. Writing, playing, and listening have become more intense. And then this is a really good one from another person. I've loved music all my life. After a year of Kratom usage, I was saddened to realize that I hardly listened to anything in my large music collection, and that my very favorite music hardly moved me at all. Also, I felt no joy in anything really. The only thing I found myself looking forward to was pouring more green sludge down my throat. After I quit, it all slowly came back to me, and I am thankful for that. This is one of my favorite things about it, and there's so many more things. Another one is how clean your purses and bags and cars and stuff will be afterwards. There's no more green powder. You don't have to worry about taking it with you, planning your doses around trips, worrying about which countries you can and won't be able to take it to. You won't have to worry about 800 million other things. And I think the most positive thing for me about quitting is the fact that it gives you a chance to pretty much start a completely new you, like a new life. I quit and it immediately made me change all my habits, my kind of, bad habits, sleeping until 3 p.m., eating junk food all the time, not exercising, and I became a lot healthier as a result. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you have any ideas as to other videos that you'd like me to make, use my email in the description below. If you'd like to pick up my book, Kicking Kratom, it's on Amazon, and I wrote it just so there would be something out there as a resource guide. It helps support my content if you pick it up. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.